Check.
Affinity Extra, Be Extra.
So let's meet the man behind the music, Carvin Winans, gospel legend and soulful storyteller. Born in Detroit, Michigan on March the 5th, 1958, Carvin Winans is a Grammy Award-winning gospel artist, songwriter, and founding member of the iconic group of the Winans. As one of 10 musically gifted siblings, Carvin helped pioneer contemporary gospel alongside his twin brother Marvin, blending faith, soul, and R&B into a sound that reshaped the genre. Over a career spanning 5 decades, Carvin has earned 5 Grammy Awards, 12 nominations, 9 Stellar Awards, 3 Soul Train Awards, Gospel Music Hall of Fame induction, and the President's Merit Award from the Recording Academy. He's written and performed with legends like Whitney Houston with Love Is, Regina Bell with Make It Like It Was, Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror on BVs, Stevie Wonder, Peabody Bryson, Michael McDonald, and more. In 2019, Carvin released his first solo debut, Once in a Lifetime, followed by the 2025 album Cool Gospel, featuring the #1 single God's Still Working on Me, which topped Billboard gospel and media-based charts. Carvin is also known for his heartfelt quote, "God has truly blessed me with gifts to share with the world through music and writing, and I intend to use them." So in summary, Carvin Winans, a Grammy Award-winning gospel icon, founding member of the Winans, and the voice behind the hits that have touched the generations. I'm really pleased to say that Carvin joins me now, and I just want to say, hey, good day and welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Howie. Thank you for the introduction.
Well, I'm looking at that introduction, and just because of who you are, you deserve the mention. I had to read it all. It's such a pleasure to talk with you. And when I saw the album being and the single being released, I was really excited. Probably not having heard anything in full for quite a while.
Yeah.
I know you've been busy, but it's so great to have you here. Now, the Winans, you guys are synonymous with quality and excellence. And how aware of you of that expectation, and does it put more pressure on you?
No, it doesn't really put pressure on me. It was always in my mind, especially when I started doing this particular album, that from the days with my brothers, we always wanted to have that excellence, right? We wanted to come out and we wanted our songs to be able to be played on radio right behind any secular record, right? Because the secular world, they always really took time and really put quality into their work. So we wanted to be representing Christ. We wanted to be that way or even better, And so doing this particular album, there was no pressure. I just wanted to live up to the standard that God had blessed me and my brothers to set, in the beginning of our careers and throughout our careers. So it was no pressure at all to deliver the product that we wanted to deliver.
And with that, you're, as I said, one of 10 children who are all successful in their own right. Obviously, Big Brother passed away. He was legendary already. How challenging has it been for you to have all of that around you, but yet stand out in your own right?
Well, I think that being with my brothers all those years, I learned so much from them. I learned a lot from my twin brother Marvin. I learned a lot from Ronald, Michael, and just that whole setting. It kind of helped me when I went on my own to kind of build my craft. Marvin to me was one of the best on stage when it came to working the stage, and so I try to do that, in live shows. And Ronald, we named him nobody could sing a gospel song like Ronald. Now I don't know if I'm able to do that, but and also with being with my brothers, I kind of learned my own my own area, my own lane,
Yeah,
right? So I always just wanted to be me.
yeah,
I couldn't be Marvin, I couldn't be Ronald, couldn't be Mike. I always wanted to be me. And so when I branched off and God told me to because when Ronald passed, I didn't really want to sing anymore, right? And so God said, I gave you a gift, you got to use it. You can't sit on it. And so I obeyed him when he told me to do that. And so I was able to just kind of cross over with my solo career from everything I had learned from the Winans. And because again, like I said, I was always myself even within the group, you know. And I think that's what made the Winans because everybody had their individual talent, everybody had their
yeah.
individual thing that they brought to the table. And so we always kind of got behind each other and nobody wanted to try to be anybody else. And so that's what made us who we were. And so stepping out of that, already knowing who I was, it was easy to really try to transform into this solo artist.
Beautiful. Now, when I listen to the release, you've got a good mix between balancing what I call kind of traditional gospel influences with modern styles, and you create a great sound, which I think will really appeal to your younger audiences. I'm loving Blessing, and
I love that one too, Howie.
yeah. Um, so tell me about. I mean, how do you do that to make sure that you're trying to. I don't know if you're trying to be eclectic or you're trying to say, I'm just going to do music that I enjoy. This is what it is.
Yeah, I do that. That's the second part is what I do. I just want to be me. I want to give the audience what God has given me. Even in my writing with my brothers, I always had that individual kind of style. And so I approaching this record, Cherie, who's also a co-writer on 9 of the songs, uh, and she has a great ear for tracks. And so when we went in to do this record, we would sit down with some of the producers and we would sit down and go through tracks and listen to some of the tracks and then write to the tracks. And so we were able to, and I got some young producers. I got Carlos Beatty, who I think is just a genius in his craft, and also there's a guy named Sean Garrett, who's they nickname him the Pen. He's had like 54 #1 hits, and he's
Wow.
worked with Beyonce, Usher, and all these people. So I got a chance to sit with him. It's so funny because when I sat with him, we just talked for 2 sessions, for 2 studio sessions, 2 days. We went in to go in the studio with him in Atlanta. All we did was talk. And he wanted to know what I wanted to sing about, what I wanted to give to my audience as a solo artist. And so sitting there and talking with him and collaborating with some of these different producers, I had a chance to just reflect on what I wanted to bring to the table this time. And basically, it's all about life. And at some point, I'll be able to talk about it when I go on tour because God took me through a lot of things. This album is really a personal piece of the journey that I went on before we even got to do this. And
Hey,
so it was pretty easy to convey in this record what I wanted to tell the audience because God took me through a whole lot to get to this point where I am now. And so we just were able to get the right producers, the right songwriters, and get what we wanted to get out. And this album to me is exactly everything I wanted to say.
oh, superb. So you mentioned there about Cherie co-writing on some of the tracks as well. So uh, can you describe how the songwriting process goes for you? Did it begin with a melody? Is it the message? Or do you just get like a moment of
How
inspiration?
it can go. It's so funny because I've had this, I've had people ask me this question before, but it can come different ways. Sometimes you can hear the melody, sometimes you can hear the lyrics before the melody, sometimes you can hear the hook before you get the rest of the verses in.
Yeah,
Uh, it with this particular album, we just basically kind of sat down. I kind of knew where I wanted to go in my mind, but Shree and I we would sit down with the tracks, and we would listen to the tracks and just listen. And some of the writers had ideas already put in place, but then we would add what we needed to add because I wanted to say I wanted to give a certain message, right? And so with this album, we just did that. We checked out the tracks, and like I said, Cherie she has a very gifted ear when it comes to tracks, and she's a bit younger than me, so she kind of had her ear closer to the ground when it came to what we wanted to do for young people or how we wanted to present ourselves to young people, and so it was really I had the most fun I think doing this album because I had the freedom to do what I want to do. You know, when you're in a group, Howard, you have to appease everybody. You
You got
know,
toe the line.
and my brothers were some of the hardest people to satisfy when it came to songwriting. And so, but and I'm not mad at that because it really developed me as a songwriter. And so, but I just had the most fun putting this record together. It was just, I'm gonna say it was pretty easy because of what God had brought me through and what I wanted to convey to the audience.
So with that, with what God has brought you through, which of the songs do you feel best captures your personal testimony and why?
You gotta believe. You gotta believe.
Yeah,
Because in order, the Bible says to know God, you must first believe that He is,
yeah.
right? And so everything God brought me through, man, it was some tough times. Um, I just had to believe that He would get me to the other side, you know. And sometimes I would wake up and be like, wow, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. But I kept my prayer life, I kept praying, I kept believing that God would do what He said He was going to do, because it was prophesied to me that He would do exactly what He's doing now. And the enemy, of course, would fight you, and say, no, it's not going to happen. Everything else is happening for other people in your family. It's not going to happen for you. And he would just kind of it was a fight. I had to believe. I had to believe to get to the other side. And so to me, that song probably represents my testimony more than anything else, is that you got to believe.
Well, actually, that just reminds me of the question I want to ask is about, was there a defining moment where your relationship with God became central to your gifting?
Yeah, yeah. When you're out here singing, and I'm just gonna be 100 with this, is that when I first started with my brothers, I'm not gonna say I was singing for all the wrong reasons, but I didn't really, because when God gifts you, sometimes you think you can just run off that gift, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because He's not gonna repent for the gift that He gave you, and that gift is gonna constantly work. But what I realized, and I would say it was around maybe after the Tomorrow album, is that I just didn't want to have a gift, but I wanted to have that life to go with that gift. And when there was a lady, we were doing, I think, one of the first family tour, and a lady came up to me and she said after she heard the song Tomorrow, that it changed her whole life, right? She was a prostitute, she was a drug addict, and after hearing Tomorrow, she got saved and it changed her whole life. That's when I knew that was that I knew my walk with Christ had to line up with the gift. If you understand what I'm saying, I
Absolutely.
didn't want to be out there to sing it because I had a gift, but I wanted my walk to line up with that gift because to me that is the thing that made it more powerful, you know. And so I've just basically kept that mindset into everything that I do, even as a solo artist.
And gospel music often speaks to healing and resilience. Has there been a challenge in your life that shaped the themes of your work?
Well, yeah, when Ronald passed, I really I think that was the moment that God had to really sit me down and talk to me because to me, it was over for the Winans, because Ronald was such an important part to the group. And so I didn't want to do it anymore. I just didn't want to, I had to, but I just didn't feel like doing it. I don't want to be on stage without, Ronald. I could have had Michael and Marvin, but I didn't want to be on stage without Ronald. And so my wife and my twin brother Marvin, they talked to me because I had stopped singing, period. And they talked me into doing the 3WB, Marvin, myself, and BB.
Yeah.
And then after that, God let me know, look, I didn't just give you a gift to sit on it. Ronald's here with me now. You can't sit on it. You have to sing. And and I said, okay, I have to because now I'm responsible for what God has given me to give to the world. And so Ronald's gone. There really is no more the Winans,
Yeah.
but there's Carvin. And you have to use what I gave you for the rest of your journey. And so that was the thing that really made me sit up and say, okay, I can do this. God said I have to do it. And so I just went for it.
So the album's called Cool Gospel.
Ooh.
Where, why that name?
Well, to be honest, Howie, I didn't come up with that name. The owner of the label, Barry Hankerson, he came up with the title. And as we went on, and as the album, the different songs came out, and I have two nephews that live in Canada, and one song that they love on the album is the last one, which my two sons, Carvin Jr. and Juan from Phase Two, they wrote called Sing Forever. And my two nephews, they just went crazy over this song, And so, and so I thought that was cool. So, and they're like what, 18 and 16, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, wow, that's cool. The songs are getting to the younger people. And then I just felt some of the beats were cool, My favorite song on the record is called
Shining Star.
And
Okay.
I love Shining. And so I just thought that had a nice, cool groove to it. And then I did a thing last week for the Grammys. I did the Grammy Summer Showcase, and where I had to perform two songs. And then they did an interview. And the lady in the interview, Chantel, she was everything she was talking about the records. Oh, this is cool. Cool gospel, and this is cool. So it really just caught on. But she was saying how she thought all the tracks were cool. She thought that all the songs were cool. And so I had to call Barry and let him know that, wow, you hit a home run with that title because I wasn't feeling it. But now I feel it. I think it's great. I think that a lot of people think that the songs on the record are cool and they can get with it. And so I'm happy.
And so what message do you hope listeners can carry away after hearing your music?
The message is still the same, that Jesus is Lord, Jesus is King. His way is only going to make your life better. Shining Star is like my love letter to Jesus, right? And so when you have him in your life, that's all you need. That is basically all you need is Christ. Follow his way. Like you said, people, and you're not the only one to say it, people say, man, Carvin, you look so young. You look so, of course I try to do, my wife is going to try to make me eat right. She's going to try to make me eat right. So I try to do it. And I go in the gym. I kind of, I got a nice routine that I do in the gym. I ain't gonna never be Hercules, but I try to exercise and all that kind of stuff. But the main thing, when people look at me and say, man, you look so young, it's because I've tried to live according to that word, right? I don't smoke, never smoked. No, I don't smoke weed, never. I couldn't tell you what weed tastes like because I never had it. I don't drink. I don't do any of that. And so when you preserve yourself like the Bible says to, then you can basically you can kind of look maybe much younger than what you really are because you preserved yourself through life, you know? And so that's the message that's the main message I want to get to people, that Jesus is it. You know, people like to say, well, man, I don't want to give my life to Christ because there's so many things you can't do. Well, really, those things you can't do is really things you really shouldn't be doing anyway. And
Yeah.
preserve you, you know, so when you get older. And so that's the message, is to, you know, have Christ the center of your life. And I've had so much fun being a Christian. And so that's the message I want to relate to young people, to people my age, to people older, is that let Christ be the center and you won't regret it at all.
Beautiful, beautiful. And in your view, um, what role should gospel artists play in their communities beyond being on the stage?
Oh, that's a good question, Howie. Um, Especially gospel artists, what we don't realize is that people really watch us. They watch us because we're delivering a message through song that this is where you need to be. Christ is where you need to Christ is who you need to follow, right? That is what we're saying in our song. So the fact that we're saying that, and that's the message that we're trying to convey to people, then people are going to watch us. Okay, are you living what you say, or are you just? Is it just a song? Uh, is it just a gift that you're using, or do you believe in the giver of the gift? Right? And so
Yeah.
people are watching, and so I would say to gospel singers and artists that we really have to be careful of where we go, of what we say. You know, just like the song "God's Still Working on Me." So a lot of times people use that as a cliche, right? They'll say, okay, look, I'm a Christian, but don't push me, you know, don't push me too hard because God's still working on me. So I might cut you out. I was like, but so I say, okay, to that, I give them that one strike. Okay. But now if you're a Christian and you're walking with Christ, and say you're walking with them from the time you got saved, where you saying, don't push me, because I might cut you out, I might put my hands on you. A year from then, you should still be saying the same thing. You know, if you're in that situation, you still shouldn't be saying, all right, don't push me, because then is God really working on you? Are you letting him work on you? Because if you're letting him work on you, then he's going to work things out of you, right? He's going to work certain things out of you where you won't be in that same situation or saying the same thing a year, you know, from now that you may have said a year ago, right? So I would say that you know, we just have to, as artists, we have to let God work on us, and we have to really present ourselves not perfect, because we're not perfect, you know, but
Yeah.
we want people to know that we are living what we sing about,
Sure.
or really striving to live what we're singing about.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And are there any other gospel artists or creatives that you would love to collaborate with, either locally or internationally?
Well, it's funny because Fred Hammond, who started out with the Winans playing bass, you know, Fred played
Yeah.
bass before he started commission. Uh, I would like to collaborate with Fred, possibly on the praise and worship song that we do on the album.
Yeah.
But there's uh, other gospel artists. I really, you know, and I cried when my friend here passed. It was Rand Sallin. I would have loved to have done something with Rand Sallin. I think he was one of my gospel heroes, you know. But as far as you know, it doesn't have to be a gospel artist that I would like to collaborate with. I love, you know, your I would say she lives in your backyard is Sade.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to collaborate with Sade on something. I think she's brilliant. I think she's brilliant.
Beautiful
Uh,
voice. Absolutely.
You know, as you know, even in the Winans, as we were doing our thing, we collaborated with a lot of people that basically wanted to collaborate with us. You know, like Teddy Riley
Anita
and
Baker.
you know they were all wanted to be a part of what we were doing, and we did a lot of collaboration with different secular artists, and they worked on our terms. You know, and so and then we had a chance to even witness to those artists that came in to work with us. So there's a few. I think Jasmine Sullivan is brilliant, um, and I would love. Believe me, if I want to work with somebody, there is a meaning behind it. You know, because I love to witness to people, and I love to let people know about Christ. And so anytime you know, like I said, God gives a talent. He's not going to repent for that talent. Everybody that you hear singing, you know, whether it's secular or gospel, God gave them that talent. But it's the way that you have to use that talent, you know, that He's given you. And so I would like to persuade people to come over to my side and use that talent for Christ, you know. But you got some talented people out there that I would love to collaborate with. Even Sean Garrett, he's one of the producers on this album. We had a chance to sit with him, even the days that we would sit and talk about what he wanted me to do on this album, where I wanted to go with this album. We had a chance to really witness to this young man, and to the times. Every time we witnessed him, he would just be in tears, you know. And
Mm,
so that's why I don't fight working with certain secular artists. I'm not just going to work with anybody, but
sure.
you know, I work with whoever God really is leading me to work with. But there's always a purpose. The purpose is to try to win that soul and to try to witness and plant a seed, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's but yeah, as far as gospel artists, you know, Fred, I would love to do something with Fred. He's a very talented guy, you know. We had a chance to work with some of the Clark sisters when we did the 3WB album,
Yeah.
and we grew up with the Clark sisters, you know.
Of
Uh,
course, yes.
and we're getting ready to go on tour too. Also, how we're getting ready to go on tour with it's called the Detroit. The tour is called Detroit Gospel Legends.
Okay, yeah.
Uh, it's going to be Fred Hammond, Marvin Sapp, Dietrich Haddon, Donnie McClurkin, Byron Cage, the Clark sisters, uh,
Wow.
myself, and I think Lisa Page Brooks.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That starts in October. So I'm looking forward to that. And then from that, hopefully we'll start touring on our own, you know.
that's going to be phenomenal.
And
I
I
can
want to come back to London so
come
bad.
on. Absolutely.
So bad because my heart, I have a heart for England, for London, for Birmingham. You know, you guys from the time when we first came as the Winans, I think we had sold out shows before we even landed. You know, all the
Yeah.
shows sold out, and I think that was the Let My People Go tour. And you guys have always treated us like royalty, and we love coming over there. So I would love to come over there as a solo artist.
You are more than welcome.
Word out there.
You're more than welcome. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we gotta make it happen for sure. For sure.
So talking of, you're a mature man. You've seen the industry, you've been in the industry, you've seen a lot over the years. What does success look like for you at this stage in your career?
What does success look like? Um, I guess it looks like what it's always looked like to me, you know. Success to me at this age is still getting my music out and the world loving what we present, you know. I think when you put something out and people um, are excited about it, you get emails, you get texts that we love this, we love it. To me, that is success. And then the ultimate success is that when you get those type of testimonies after people hearing your music saying that they came to the Lord, that's the ultimate success to me when it comes to what I think success looks like. But the overall package is people still accepting you and loving what you do as an artist, and and they let you know that the songs have really helped them in their life and in their struggles and in them getting to where they needed to go. Uh,
Absolutely.
that's the success of it all. Of course, you get the accolades, the Grammys and all that kind of that's fine. But to me, that's not the success of that I'm really looking for. I'm looking for people's lives to be changed and people loving your music and it is your music helping them to really go through their down times and celebrate their good times. And so that is the ultimate success to me, even at this stage in my life.
And if you were to go back and give advice to your younger self when you were starting out, what would you say, just to remind yourself?
Don't make some of the dumbest mistakes. Grow because I tell you, man, Howie, this business it can be tough. I remember I'm not gonna say questioning God, but just saying, Lord, did you really call us to do this? Because this, being what they say, quote unquote, a celebrity, it ain't fun all the time. I had to find myself running from certain things and not getting involved in certain things because, I loved singing, but I didn't really like what came with it, the
Okay.
celebrity. Okay, I didn't like all that. And so I would tell my younger self, if I could, to just calm down, take it a day at a time with a grain of salt, and don't make some of the mistakes that you made, and really pour into, really take that Bible and the Word of God more seriously than I did back then, in
Okay.
my young.
Yeah.
So
That's great. That's great advice. That's absolutely great advice. And what legacy would you like to leave through your music and your ministry? First of all, can I say, with six wonderful children, some who have already followed in your footsteps as well. That's already part of your legacy, right?
say that again. The six
You've
children,
got
what?
six wonderful children,
Yes, yes.
some who are pursuing music as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Juan and Carvin was from phase two.
Yep,
And then my oldest daughter, Layla, I mean, not Layla, but Joy, my oldest daughter, Joy, she's an actress. She was on the show Greenleaf.
of
And
course,
so,
yes.
so then, and then she started singing, right? And so then I have Ian, my youngest son, Ian, who he wants to be well, he is. He's I would say a gospel comedian. I don't know where that came from, but
Okay.
he said he didn't want to sing. And then my second oldest daughter, Shania, she's a therapist, a physical therapist. And then my youngest daughter, Layla, who wrote the song. There's a song on the new album called "No Feeling," and Layla, my youngest daughter, is co-writer on that particular song. So she's into the arts, but she's in college now, more drawing and all that kind of stuff. But she can
Okay, yeah,
sing,
yeah.
doesn't want to, but now she took a stab at writing, and I think it's a very, very beautiful song that she did with Sean Gary called "No Feeling." So yeah, they're gonna follow. You got a few that's gonna follow my footsteps when it comes to the music thing, and so all is good, man. I'm just a happy young man right now.
Well, one thing I will say is, you may not recognize how um, how important you've been to so many of our lives through the music that you have sung and still sing. Um, uh, when I came in, my wife was singing. She can say, "When you cry," those that beautiful tone in your voice as well. You really have. You're kind of synonymous for that as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. When You Cry, that's one of my favorite whining songs. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, when I met your wife, she should have sang it.
I'll have to call her back. So I guess the question is, how are we going to get you to the UK? We need to find time in your diary. We had your sister here not long ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. She called me. It was so funny because she called me when she was over there, and because I was in Nashville, and that's where Cece lives. She's in Nashville. I
Okay,
was
yeah.
doing a podcast and a TV show there that my record company had flew me out to do, and then she called to tell me that our mom was in Nashville because my mom lives in Detroit, but she was in Nashville at the time, which I didn't know. So
Okay,
we went right over to the house because I hadn't seen her in a while, and so and then my some of my children were just with Cece a couple of days ago because she was in Toronto performing, and I
yes.
lived in Toronto for 16 years.
Okay,
I became a dual citizen because when I married Cherie, I met her in Toronto. We got married. She didn't want to move to Detroit, and so I moved to Toronto and I became a citizen there. You
okay,
know,
yeah.
then moved from there out here to LA. But yeah, yeah. Cece, she called me, and so they were with her a few days ago. But the
So
what was the question that we
no,
were talking
we were just
about?
saying that Cece was in the UK. So
Oh
and
yeah, right, right. So how can I get there?
yeah,
You know, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out because I gotta come there to perform this album and some of the other stuff that I used to do with the Winans. Because in my show, what I try to do is do some of the things that you know, like tomorrow, When You Cry, in the show, and remember every day the same. I'm going. Remember that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Any other place called heaven, where there will be no pain. The weather will never change, wherever we will remain. And every day the sun. I do that. I kind of open up the show with that. So,
Okay,
and then, you know, of course, the new stuff that I'm so excited to do and bring over there to England.
brilliant. So how can people follow you on your socials? Is it just carvinwinans.com?
Yeah, carvinwinans.com, and you get everything. You can get all my socials, the platforms that I'm on, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, Amazon, everything, you know. And you can also see where the tour with the Detroit Gospel Legends are going. You can check out all of that, you know.
Great, great. Well, we look forward to it. Really wish you well. Cool gospel. The album is really cool gospel. Some great tracks on there as well. And I really wish you all the very, very best with it as well.
What's your favorite? I think you said Blessings, right?
Blessings, blessings, and I like Shining Star as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just got this bounce to it. There's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's good. I've been playing it in the car, so absolutely loving it. So definitely those two. I'm loving those tracks.
Thank you so
So
much.
well done to you. God bless you. Thank you again, Carvin Winans Senior. You've been an absolute gem. Appreciate your time. God bless you.
Thank you, Howard. God bless you too.
Affinity Extra, Be Extra.